Okay, the next part is going to be the mounting plate, so we're going to start a brand new part. Make sure that I'm in IPS, inch pound seconds. For the mounting plate, you could start either in the front plane or the top plane, doesn't really matter. I'm going to use the top plane and start a new sketch. And with this, we're going to use the center rectangle tool, starting from the origin. And we're going to smart dimension this 3 inches. Then the side is going to be dimensioned 1.5. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and exit the sketch and extrude boss base. All right, thickness for this part is 0.125. And we've got the basics down for the plate. Okay, the next part of this is going to be to add the holes. Okay, so adding the holes, I'm going to left click on the face and start a new sketch. Okay, and the easiest way to do this is to normal to. So I'm going to hit the space bar and normal to that plane because it is the same as the top plane. And you can do this one of two ways. You can either draw all the circles in or you can use a linear pattern. Okay, but I'm going to draw a circle and I'm going to try to keep the circles on the same plane using the tracking lines. So at least I know that they're somewhat in the right spot. And this will change once we start modifying these. But the one thing I'm going to add in here is a equal relationship, so that instead of dimensioning one of these, instead of dimensioning all of these, I'm going to dimension one of them. So I'm going to get out of my circle tool by hitting escape. I'm going to go to the display delete relations button and hit the little drop down and go to add relation. Okay, so right now under add relations it has arc 6 because this is arc 6. This is what's currently selected. So I'm going to select all the other ones and I'm going to say that the relationship between all 6 of those should be equal. So I click on equal and it makes them all equal. All right, I'm going to hit the green check. And now as I use the smart dimension, I just have to smart dimension one of them. And these are a diameter of 0.100. So then they all change because now they have an equal relation. Okay. The second step is going to be to space these according to the print. So I'm going to start from the edge to the edge of the circle. And this is going to be 0.500. Then I'm going to travel from circle to circle. And that looks like it's 1 inch exactly, so I'm just going to green check. And then circle to circle again. Make sure that that is exactly 1 inch. And then do the same thing for between the circle and the top edge to make sure that they are 0.25 aligned. So because they were originally lined, I used tracking to make sure that they were all kind of collinear. That's why they all drop down the same amount. Okay. Now I can use dimensions to ensure that these are all in the same space, or I could use relations if I wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to first make sure to dimension from circle to circle and make sure that we have an inch in between. And then for the rest of these, I'm going to use relations just to show you how to use relations a little bit more. So I'm going to hit escape to exit the smart dimensioning tool. And I'm going to select add relation from the little drop down. And I want to say that this hole, and this hole should be on the same plane. So it's not giving me the option for collinear. And I know why, because I picked the actual circles. So I'm going to delete these options and then pick the center point. Center point, center point, center point. Make sure I get rid of any options that don't make sense. Here we go, make this horizontal. So then they drop to the same horizontal plane. Okay, I'm going to green check that. Go back into add relations. I forgot to deselect, so that's why we're still having these there. So I'm going to deselect, deselect, deselect. And I'm going to start with center point, make sure that they are vertical. And then I'm going to deselect, deselect, and do the same thing. Select the center point, and make sure they are vertical. Okay, so just with those relations, all of these are 1 inch away from this because they're collinear, and it's all based off of this one. If I were to change this dimension to 1.25, they're all collinear because of the relationship. Change that back to 1. Let's see, what else? That's pretty much it there. I'm going to exit the sketch and then extrude cut. And I'm going to go through all. And the last little bit is going to be adding fillets. Again, it's preferable if you add fillets as a feature as opposed to a sketch. So I'm going to change the radius to 1/4 inch and then select each corner. I'm trying not to go behind. Whoops. There's that line. And green check. And you have your mounting plate. I'm going to click save. Save under the caster assembly. This is part number 2. And the description is mount plate. Already opened. Okay, so I'll call it part 02. How about that? And that is the mount plate.